Tony Soprano and company have always managed to dig their greasy hands into the coffers of local New Jersey townships, divvying up the spoils amongst themselves and their political cronies. And while they were able to provide shoddy workmanship on the construction projects to the public,
my God, the whole thing's made of breadsticks!
Hand paint and shellac. It's all itemized in this bill.
To be fair, they also were able to create a lot of no-show jobs for their friends. And guys, as I get started here, please, it makes a huge difference if you thumb up this video, if you share it with a friend, if you got something out of it, and if you're new to this channel, subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. That's really, hopefully not too much to ask. Now, picture the truly slick operators, the truly sophisticated sharks, and the bloated corporate pigs at the trough, salivating when they see the fat stacks of cash belonging to the world's superpower, the US government. The multi-trillion annual budget, ka-ching. Imagine how big the incentive becomes to perfect their rent-seeking abilities and siphoning even just a sliver of that sweet tax revenue that you out there pay from your sweat, from your brow, from your hard work. And as they sharpen their griftmanship, the amount of treasure they are able to subtly steal increases exponentially. It's not a question of if the grifters are going to show up. It's how fast they'll swim, slither, or waddle to gorge themselves. And today, they aren't just nibbling. They're ripping us off like a pack of hyenas tearing into the flesh of a dead zebra, the kill of an absent lion. And they'll leave crumbs for us to redistribute amongst ourselves, all holding their heads up high and squealing, "It's for the public good." This is human nature on full display, and it's why centralized power and the associated giant honeypot of money is a corruption magnet with greater gravitational pull for the imperfect human psyche than a black hole. Take a fat stack of taxpayer cash, pile it in DC, and watch the feeding frenzy begin. Defense contractors snag billion-dollar weapons deals, and they don't even work. I'm looking at you, Lockheed Martin, with your F-35 money pit. Big Pharma jams through overpriced pills while lobbying to keep generics off the shelf. And in a Nobel Prize winning moment of grifting, Big Pharma got the government to not only pay them for a non-working vaccine that they produced, but got it to be mandated for uptake into the population.
Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
I mean this, for those who formulated the plan, they are freaking brilliant. Evil, but genius nonetheless. And then you have the green energy cronies pocketing subsidies for solar panels and wind turbines that will rust before they begin to pay off. The same environmentalists that, in order to install them and keep the money, are perfectly fine with nearly extinct species like the Atlantic right whale going extinct.
Another whale had washed up. It's becoming a pattern. Is it the windmills? Is it the pounding of the seafloor? How many whales is it going to take?
There aren't many places where the North Atlantic right whale can go. It's destined to extinction.
It sounds like they're going to like pile drive.
This is what the whale is experiencing, and I'm not going to pile drive.
It's only when they started going into the wind lease areas that we believe that the whales are dying.
So those red dots are whale deaths.
Precisely.
What a scandal.
And don't get me started on the infrastructure scams. Bridges to nowhere funded by your paycheck while some suit's yacht gets a new deck. These aren't outliers. They're the system working as intended, as designed. The bigger the pile of cash, the more snouts shove in. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And today, the rent seekers are so entrenched, they will do anything to protect their ill-gotten revenue stream. Elon Musk laid this bare on Joe Rogan's podcast. Blunt as a sledgehammer as always. Good for you, Elon. He's out there trying to slash the government blow with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency for the uninitiated. And he knows the stakes.
But I think if I fully destroy the corruption and the graft, they will kill me.
That's a fucked up thing to live with.
Yes. So I'm like, damn it.
Well, listen, I really hope they don't kill you.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I strive to be alive.
Yeah.
I would like to remind you that accidents will happen.
It's not hyperbole. Don't interrupt a shark feeding frenzy. He's talking about the swamp creatures who spent decades perfecting the art of sucking the system dry. Lobbyists, bureaucrats, corporate leeches, with their claws dug into the treasury. Disrupt that, and they just won't send you an angry tweet. They'll come for your head.
I said, take a look at what happened.
Elon's not wrong. He's got a target on his back because he's daring to challenge the IV of taxpayer money going directly into the veins of these rent seekers. And one thing that is definitely for sure, over time, corruption's not just likely, it's guaranteed. Human beings are greedy, lazy. We want to do things with the least amount of effort, and we're power hungry by default to boot. You leave a honeypot unguarded, and someone's dipping their paws in, whether it's on day 1 or year 50. All you have to do is look at history. Roman senators skimming taxes, medieval kings selling titles, modern politicians funneling aid to their donors. Fast forward to today, Iran's mullahs rake in cash from Biden's geniuses who think appeasement's a strategy, and Ukraine gets billions while Zelensky's cronies buy villas. I have a serious question that I would like to propose to you, and you can answer it in the comments. How many powerful Ukrainians don't want a ceasefire, or peace for that matter, because having one stops the gravy train of U.S. cash that floods into the country every single month? You tell me. I mean, they're looking out for number one, and which one benefits them more? Question. Could that be why Zelensky scuttled the deal in public that Trump and JD thought would be a formality that was going to get signed at the White House? I try to understand the world via the incentives that are offered to each party. And poor Zelensky might have been told that it was time to nix the deal or be removed from power via a magical bullet.
It's funny because it's true.
Well observed.
When you are talking about multi-billions of US dollars that you didn't have to earn, that are at stake, the incentives, unfortunately, they line up. Power centralizes, and the deeper the liquidity of the public sector becomes, the further the sharks advance up the beach, gobbling up the productivity of the private sector. That's why the smallest government possible isn't some libertarian fantasy. It's the only way to keep the sharks from storming the beach. But they're clever, these bastards. They don't just grab. No, that would be too obvious. They distract. And that's where you enter in the media and the identity politics. The magicians shake their wands and distract you while their overlords pick your pockets. Look over here, they shout. George Floyd, George Floyd, George Floyd. Trans women are men, bigot. Elon Sig Hailed.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
Trump said what? Or whatever trending hashtag is on X this week. Meanwhile, they're slipping trillion-dollar relief bills past you, stuffed with pork for their pals, the lobbyists that donate to their campaigns to get them reelected. So the money kind of comes full circle. Everybody's in on it. The media's in on it, that's for sure. We're talking CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. They're all puppets that are owned by the same big pharma, which, by the way, provides 70% of cable news advertising. Why? Because they don't want them to be able to bite the hand that feeds them easily. And then you've got big agriculture, big food, the defense contractor overlords who are cutting the checks. They'll scream systemic injustice all day to keep you riled up and blind while the real heist happens off screen. It's a shell game, and you, my friends, we are the marks. They've got the nerve to call it democracy, but it's a grift dressed up in a flag pin. X lights up with folks calling it out. Raw post, no filter showing the receipts, and the corporate press merely slaps a misinformation label on it and moves on. Media trust, fortunately though, is tanking. Gallup, a recent poll, had it at 32% and falling because people aren't as dumb as they hope, like you out there. And frankly, I personally pray that I can drive that number even lower. The good news is the smaller the honeypot, the less that they're able to steal, the less incentive they'll have to enact their societally rotting smoke and mirrors act. Elon's absolutely right. Upset the apple cart, and they are going to fight as dirty as they need to set it right according to their standards. But that still doesn't mean it's not our responsibility to do everything that we can to reduce the budget, reduce taxes, to stop printing money, to adopt Bitcoin or a combination thereof, and starve the rent seekers. And maybe, just maybe, we've got a shot at a flourishing nation that doesn't stink of corruption from sea to shining sea. So no matter how much their high-priced magicians distract you, I invite you in joining me on keeping focused on trimming the fat to zero and watching the corruption fall with those actions. And with less incentive to divide and steal our money, maybe we can once again begin to heal as a nation and a people. This, my friends, is my prayer, and I sincerely hope that you join me.